Hey, Think Realty Nation, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast today. I appreciate you always joining us, always participating, always commenting, always sharing. My name is Eddie Wilson. I'm the founder of Think Realty. Founded it in 2013 because I'm a third-generation real estate investor who wanted to give information and content out to the masses. That's why we built Think Realty. And I'm still your podcast host today, which I love to do because I get to interview great people. We've got a great guest today. Before we get to our guest, I want to say a quick thank you to our podcast sponsor, which is CV3 Financial. CV3 is a great new lender that's come out. And when you're taking on a new real estate investment project, having a trusted lender is key. Count on CV3 for your fix and flip, rental, cash out, rate and term refi, all of those needs they can help you with. Visit cv3financial.com/think Realty, and they'd love to help you out. Make sure you go support them for supporting us. And we've got a great guest today. Our guest today is Quentin. Quentin is from Padsplit. Thanks so much for being on the show today.
Appreciate the time. Thanks so much, Eddie.
You know, I love what you guys are doing. First of all, I love innovation and tech coming into our space. Real estate investment for so long has been a sleepy place where a lot of mom and pops are buying rental properties. There's not a lot of innovation. There's not a lot of people coming in to disrupt it. And the ones that are coming in to disrupt it are typically taking opportunity away from the mom and pops, right? Like we're seeing lots of hedge fund movement, and they're essentially taking, deals and assets off the table. And so the innovation is actually causing down pressure on a lot of our base. What you guys are doing is providing a massive opportunity for our base. So if you don't mind, just to our audience, explain what it is that Padsplit does, and then we're going to talk about the economics of it.
Got it. Padsplit is an online platform, very similar to Airbnb. The running joke that I have is if Airbnb and Uber had a baby, we would look like us, right? We take single-family homes, and our platform allows for investors to rent by the room. Mm-hmm. So some people call it single-room occupancy. Right. We call it co-living. Right. It's just a way that you can generate more cash flow out of the same acquisition. Yep. So, quick catch is single-family acquisitions, multifamily revenue. Right. And our platform allows for the demand side, so we handle both sides of the marketplace, where individual members come in, we vet them, we aggregate them, they pass a background check and an employment check, and then they can book a room on our platform, which you, the investor, puts on their platform, and you go from there. And we are essentially providing workforce housing. Mm-hmm. So if you think about COVID, that's the best way to bring your mind back to that, which is a terrible way to do it, but essential housing for essential workers. Right. 18 to 30 bucks an hour. Mm-hmm. Where are they living? Yeah,
it's too hard to find a place to live.
No, they just can't. The model that's set up there, it's not so much they can't afford it. Mm-hmm. It's like somebody saying, I can afford a lease payment for a car. Yeah. I just don't qualify for the loan. Right. Right. And that's essentially what we're solving for is this barrier of entry. We eliminate that. We just make it so much easier that if you have steady employment, you want a safe and secure place to live, we're probably a better alternative because you're going to pay weekly, and then it's roughly $160 to $200 a week. Right. And it's fully furnished. It's kind of like Airbnb for workforce housing, but you're renting one room out of a house.
Yeah. I love the concept because if you go back, 10, 15 years, everyone's talking about affordable housing today, affordable housing. But the reality of it is we should have been talking about it 10 or 15 years ago. I would sit in DC, was doing a lot of advocacy for real estate investors and private lending industry. And we were talking about it back then, but it wasn't such a massive issue. But we saw it as an issue back then. And what we saw was the people that wanted to get into a single family house, they couldn't. They were desiring a single family house, but ending up in an apartment. Today, the real affordable housing issue isn't that they can't afford a house. People haven't been able to afford houses for 10 years. Yeah. They can't afford to get into an apartment complex, right? Like they don't have the deposit. They don't have 2 or 3 months if they're a brand new renter. They don't have... The down pressure on the younger generation that is up and coming, earning a living, working hard to get into housing is really, really tough. And so what they're forced to do is to live at home. They graduate college, they live at home. So it structures their life where their opportunities are only around where the housing is, right? And I think it's the big issue in the country today. Whereas if you could find a place to rent a room, right, that's safe, secure, makes sense, affordable, it spreads their cost of living out over a weekly basis. Now they get to choose geographically located opportunities that maybe they couldn't have otherwise. Yes. So I feel like it's solving so many issues. And that's why I love the product. I was super excited you're coming on the podcast today. So let's talk about the economics of it. So the average person in Padsplit is renting for how much per week?
On average, our average weekly rate across the country, so from Phoenix to Atlanta, if you were to think about it, 187 a week.
Okay.
We have rooms that are 150,
Sure.
all the way up to 400.
Yeah.
You guys in Vegas and Phoenix,
Sure.
you guys like higher rent rates, and it's just the competition of it.
Sure.
But the thing that's really interesting, and you hit it right on the head, which is amazing for me when you said it, was that residence ties back to opportunity. So for us as real estate investors, well, it's like a location, location, location. But now our members are figuring it out that, wait a minute, I can afford a house that's really cheap over here, but I can also move within our system, transfer to a different house.
Sure.
So I've had members and they tell me, nicest neighborhood I've ever lived in, which is kind of mind-blowing. And then it goes into, when I looked at jobs around this house, it was $10 more an hour for roughly the same job.
Right.
Yet she's paying roughly the same amount that she was for housing. It was crazy that they're figuring it out.
Yeah.
You know, so
I love it. I love that you're solving that issue because the millennials and now more of the Gen Zs that are really coming to the workforce are really struggling with this. And I like that. But for our base are mom and pop real estate owners. They own 5, 10 units. And then there's the top 20% of our base that owns thousands of apartments like me. The economics of this are great for the renter, but for the person who owns the asset, it could be even better.
Oh, it's designed specifically for
so talk about
the asset owner.
Yeah.
So if you are a mom and pop investor, 2 to 10 properties is roughly what we talk about, right? And you looked at the bottom third of your single family rentals. They're quietly doing nothing.
Right.
You know, they're breaking even $200 to $300.
Hopefully appreciating, hopefully gaining something, but you're playing for a 30-year opportunity there.
Right. Yeah. So if you're in a neighborhood that fits our model, we're essentially doubling or tripling your net income.
Yeah.
So the investors that come to us, they usually do the quick toe dip.
Sure.
Let me try one property and see if you guys are real. And then they quickly get mad 90 days later that they didn't do the bottom third of their portfolio.
Right.
And what you were talking about was new investors. This is my favorite. It's like, we're like bumper bowling for new real estate investors.
That's a great analogy.
Because we generate enough revenue that you can hit your head on the acquisition mistake. I shouldn't have paid that much. Boom, the GC mistake. I didn't know that I should have looked out for that. And at the end of the day, you can cash flow so that you can buy another property.
Sure.
Because essentially, if you stop at one, you just bought yourself another job.
Right.
And we just allow people to get into becoming wealth-creating real estate investors.
That's awesome.
Which, like your audience talks about all the time. It changes your mindset from a W-2 to I'm a real estate investor as well.
Right.
And that's the awesome part about it.
It is awesome. And for everyone out there, they have the lower third, right? Like I have close to, I have over 4,000 doors, and there is that lower third that's always not performing to the degree that I want it to. And the name of the game, 3, 4, 5 years ago is cash flow.
Yes.
No one's talking about cash flow today because interest rates have gone through the roof. And so when real estate investors are selling assets or turnkey providers selling assets, they've stopped talking about cash flow because cash flow, it's almost a dirty word. It's like if you're talking about cash flow, I think like, what are you selling here? Because it's like we almost are now conditioned to believe that because interest rates are so high, there's no way to have long-term cash flow, right? And so what you're doing is saying, no, there is opportunity if you look at it differently. Here's another scenario I'd like to talk about. A lot of people got into the short-term rental space.
Oh, that's my man. Thank you for talking about this.
And they're getting killed in it, right?
Yes.
Like I was talking to a guy the other day. He said, I bought 5 short-term rentals, all in a very nice neighborhood, not in a vacation community, in a nice neighborhood because I thought, well, it's by hospitals or whatever.
Yeah.
And I overpaid, and now I'm paying 20% of the mortgage every single month out of my pocket just to try to figure out what to do with this house. Are you seeing a massive conversion from
it's
short-term?
huge.
Yeah.
And then layer on top of that legislation.
Yeah.
Hello, Phoenix.
Right.
You get 30 June 2nd, I think, is Dallas's, right? So now you have
people in Dallas are panicked
they're
now.
freaking out.
Yeah.
And you're exactly right, because what they were late to the party. So whoever they were coaching from, learning from, and doing from, they're like, all right, and then they underwrote it at this number, which was crazy.
Yeah.
what we're seeing is a mass influx, and it's like our model, they're adapting. And I love the ones that are moving early, because they're not just sitting there slowly drowning,
Right.
like, hey, I'm kind of drowning here, like month over month. They're adapting, and they're moving onto our platform 7 to 10 days.
Sure.
And they're getting to revenue
Wow,
in
7
15.
to 10 days, that's fast.
Because you have furniture. You have a house that
Right.
fits.
Right.
All you're doing is putting locks on their doors. And then the beauty of our model is you're actually more hospitality based than our original investors were.
Right.
So the members just get a better experience, and they stay longer. And then from you as a short-term rental, provider, you're getting tenure. Like the beauty of short-term versus us when we look at it is 3 days a week for 3 out of 4 weekends.
Right.
That's kind of what you're hoping for now.
That's what your entire model is written on.
Right,
Yeah.
and it better cover the nut for everything that you're paying for.
Yeah.
Our model is 5 bedrooms, 6 bedrooms. There's never an empty room.
Right.
1 room may pivot, 2 rooms may pivot, but 3 are still paying rent.
Sure.
And when they churn, or when they move out or move in, it's 1 room at a time. It's a different revenue model.
Right.
Here's a little twist I'll put into you. I met somebody similar that has large portfolios. And they have big appreciating houses in one end of their portfolio. They've got kind of middle, and then they found us. And they're like, your model is like a cash flow machine that I can keep that big old thing that's I know is appreciating way faster than this.
Sure.
But I don't worry about carrying the note for that.
Right.
I use your cash flow, keep that thing, and I'm going to get the wealth build out of the appreciation.
That's awesome.
Like,
Love it.
it's crazy to hear how people are using our model in so many different ways.
Such a mental shift, because we as real estate investors are so conditioned to this is either, 10 years ago, it was either this is something that I'm using for appreciation, I'm going to sell it at some point, I'm going to roll that into something else, or this is a long-term cash flow and I'm going to rent it. Then it was like, oh, there's this new model, it's called Airbnb. Let's all try that. And all of us, me included, I went out and I bought 10 of them, right? I didn't buy one, I bought 10, right? And, the bottom 3 or 4, they're not performing. Like and essentially the entire 10 are barely covering, it's like the mistakes of the 3. And so I love that, because if it fits in, it's like there's an entirely new model, new opportunity. And I'm so appreciative of you guys actually coming to market with this, because it solves so many issues.
No, it's amazing for us because we're seeing so many different flavors of investors.
Sure.
And this is my favorite part about being a marketplace. You already know your game.
Sure.
But if I insert new option, you guys are telling us how to use us in creative ways.
Right.
Which is wild, right? So like you bring your 20 years, 10 years of business acumen, and you're like, I can leverage your platform and do it this way.
Right.
So I have people with 5, 4, 10 bedroom houses, duplexes. It doesn't matter, because they'll make it work on our platform.
Right.
And at the end of the day, the member benefits, the host benefits. I've never been in a win-win scenario in business. Like somebody's kind of taking it in the shorts, for somebody to win. This one here, members are paying less, hosts are getting paid more, and you can go to a cocktail party and have a pinky up. I'm solving affordable housing, and you're killing your cash flow.
I love it. You got to go to DC with me sometime. We have so many conversations in front of legislators about affordable housing. We got to go together. You'll enjoy that.
That's a big heavy rock to push uphill.
It is, but in the end, it's like they're looking for any solution, and it's tough to bring solutions to them. One last question. I know we're out of time, but how about big multifamily? So, like, I will tell you right now, I've got a lot of multifamily. And the least performing section of my multifamily are my 3 or 4 bedroom units, right? I can crush it on the 1s and 2s, but I always struggle, and I never get the price that's needed. And so like my performers are all like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get this percentage of increase, and I never get the percentage of increase on the performance when I buy on the 3 and 4 bedrooms. Is this a good model for the 3 and 4 bedrooms if it's in the right area?
It's so interesting you say it. It's an evolving model for us. For us, it's always been kind of, let's figure out how to do our box.
Sure.
Single family. Multifamilies are now coming to us and using us as a product market fit for occupancy. So if you took 20% of your occupancy away and said, hey, help me get more occupancy, and you're forcing appreciation not with cabinets and carpets and floors, but with 3 people in a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment, now you're cash flowing, and then the rest of your units, you're getting the
exactly,
cap number
that's
that
exactly where my
works for
mind was
you.
going. And Freddie and all your lending and all of your potential, sales and exits to REITs and everything that the small guy that's in multifamily is doing, it's all dependent on occupancy. So if you can insert something in there and even just get a 2 or 3 or 5% bump, it changes the entire model.
Yep.
That's interesting. Very cool. So it sounds like there's something you're exploring.
We're getting
and
there
through.
because multifamily are coming to us saying, I have this occupancy problem.
Right.
Everybody's looking at it and they're getting creative on how to solve it.
It's awesome.
So instead of putting walls in everywhere in an apartment, they're like, you know what? You're a product fit for demand.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's what we're looking at. It's like, do we take this 3-2 and turn it into 2-1 and a 1-1 and it's costing us 30-40 grand to actually make the conversion, and it's like, and then it takes you 5 years to actually recoup your investment costs. So very, very cool. That's awesome. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it. It was awesome. If you have not already checked him out, make sure you go to Padsplit. Check out Quentin, his team, and all that they're doing. It's an amazing opportunity. I want to say one more quick thank you to CV3 Financial, our podcast sponsor. If you don't already have a lender that you're partnered up with to help you acquire more deals, make sure you check out CV3 Financial. When you're taking on your new real estate investment project, having a trusted lender is key. Count on CV3 for your fix and flip, rental cash out, rate and term refi. And then you can go see them at cv3financial.com/think realty. You know what? I love guests like we had today. To me, innovation in this space is so few and far between that when you hear something, you need to take action on it. And by the way, that's speaking to me. I got a ton of doors. I need to take action on what I just heard, because think about it. If I could change my 4,000 doors to 3 or 4% more performance, what would that do for me, my family, my kids, my grandkids, right? Like, it's a legacy piece, and that's what real estate is all about. So make sure you go check that out. If you haven't already been to thinkrealty.com to check out our magazine, I also want you to go there, subscribe, get our magazine to your doorstep every single month like I do, and tons of other people do, because we built this to be a companion for you. You're not going to get great real estate investment news from Yahoo or CNBC or Fox News or CNN. You're not going to get it anywhere. You're going to get it from thinkrealty.com. We want to help you out. Make sure you stay with us. Always let us know what you think, what you like, and what you want more of it. Have a great day, guys.